Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's your boy Knight, and today we are taking a look at my top 10 video game characters of all time. With that being said, let's not waste any time and just get right into it. So, first things first, you are not going to agree with me. So, disclaimer warning, there's millions of game characters, and I have to only pick 10, so naturally the ones that are super special to me aren't going to be super special to you. So, please feel free to comment your favorites in the comments below, but don't be mad when they're not all on this list. Next up are rules. Rules are pretty simple for this list. That's just one character per game franchise, so some franchises don't just dominate the list. No like blank avatar characters, any like created characters don't count. If it's like you play as them but they have a personality, sure, but no just like completely blank, no talking avatar characters at all. And thirdly, I'm ranking this purely off just how much like love, nostalgia, and attachment I have to them. It's not who has the deepest backstory or who has the craziest like lore and gameplay. It's just purely which characters I fell in love with throughout the years, and honestly that's about it. So it's just straight off vibes on this one. So real quick, we're just gonna run through the honorable mentions for this list. There's a lot of them, so bear with me on this one. From the Fire Emblem series, we have Dimitri, Robin, Camilla, and Leo. From Dead by Daylight, we have Fong, Sable, Astri, and the Trickster. Then we have 2B, Cloud, Link, Spyro, Spooky, Narmaya, Sarabella, Riala. From Mortal Kombat, we have Sub-Zero and Kitana. From Guilty Gear, we have Kai and Dizzy. We have Zero from Borderlands and Zero from Not Borderlands. We have Blue from Pokemon, Palutena, and Virgil. So yeah, hard to pick between everyone on this one, but those are the honorable mentions. Let's get into the next little bit. The next little bit being a kind of shadow realm of characters. There's two characters here that could have probably made like the top 6, but there was just something like holding them back that I couldn't really justify putting them on the actual list. Those two characters being Aurelion Sol from League of Legends and Shadow the Hedgehog from Sonic. Shadow is my childhood favorite. I love that guy. I'm an edgelord enjoyer, but like nowadays he just kind of feels like an actual edgy like a meme. It's almost, I'm drowning in darkness. Like it's like I couldn't really justify putting Shadow. And Aurelion Sol, well, the GOAT is from League of Legends, so can't have that on the list. So without further ado, let us get into the actual top 10 favorite characters. Number 10. Coming in at number 10, we have Leon Scott Kennedy from the Resident Evil series. With Resident Evil 4 being one of my favorite games of all time, it's not really a shocker that my boy Leon's here. Clearly Leon is my favorite Resident Evil MC, and that is for a few good reasons. He's a generally funny guy and is known for his banger one-liners, which just strike the right chord of cool and cringe at the same time, sometimes more one than the other, but the one-liners go absolutely insane. But the main thing, and the main reason Leon's my favorite from Resident Evil is we get to see his growth more than almost any other character really. In Resident Evil 2, he's this rookie cop who doesn't really know what he's doing. He's just being the hero because he wants to be. Then in Resident Evil 4, we get to see him as this kind of hardened veteran that he's a special agent now. He's more serious, but he still keeps that like comical undertone. And then in Resident Evil 6, he's been through it, right? So we get to see his growth throughout the series, and that really helps me like build like a love towards the character. And I mean, with Resident Evil 9 being rumored to have Leon as the main protagonist, I could not be more excited. But I mean, that's about it. We get to see his story. He's a likable guy, and that's all that he really needed to cement himself as number 10. Number 9. Coming in at the number 9 spot is Shadowheart from Baldur's Gate 3. Shadowheart is mainly here because she's everything I want in a girl, that being the I can fix her storyline. All jokes aside, Shadowheart is one of the deepest and most well-written characters on this list. which nets her a ton of bonus points because you can deep dive into her backstory and motivations, and it really helps flesh out the character. I don't want to spoil it too much for those who haven't finished Baldur's Gate 3 yet, but TLDR, she's serving this like terrible dictator god, and you have to convince her to do the right thing and come to the light, in a sense. Or you can gaslight her to staying with the evil god and join her instead of fixing her, but you know, we do what we can. Overall, she's witty, she's well written, and her voice actor absolutely kills the role, and with being able to like see her story in like one of the most detailed lenses and come to love her character as she travels with you from literally like just the beginning of the game, it's no wonder that Shadowheart finds herself here at the number 9 spot on the list. Number 8. Coming in at the number 8 spot is Alucard from the Castlevania series. Oh, Alucard, who thought writing Dracula backwards and making that a character would be so awesome, honestly. Alucard is here for just kind of being the GOAT most of the time. He plays a semi-anti-hero role in his debut game, Symphony of the Night, which is a game I really enjoyed and helped me build like the foundation for liking this character. But Alucard is mostly here just for his personality and his role that he plays in the entirety of the Castlevania storyline. And while Symphony of the Night did a great job outlining his character, it was then made extra special in the anime adaptation for Castlevania, which just really highlights all the things I like about Alucard. Between his magic, swordplay, and sexy voice, it's no surprise that Alucard finds himself firmly at a nice number 8 spot on the list. Number 7. Taking home the spot in number 7 is Pac-Man from, well, Pac-Man. My literal day one. I was actually gonna put Spooky, which is the main villain from Pac-Man World 2 here, but he literally only appears in the opening cutscene being all evil and then as a final boss, and he does pretty much nothing. I just thought he was cool as a kid. So instead, my GOAT, Pac-Man, who I've loved my entire life, will take the spot instead. From my dad bringing home the classic arcade Pac-Man as a kid to it Pac-Man World 3 being one of the first PS2 games I've ever played, and then of course later Pac-Man World 2, and even ended up maining Pac-Man in Smash Bros. 4, and I almost cried when he was revealed for that game, by the way. Pac-Man's just that OG that he always saves the day because he can, and I just kind of mess with his positivity, bro. He's always smiling, he always looks like he's having a good time, and even when he's in the worst of places, I just love the guy. And of course, this one's more of a childhood nostalgia pick, but my original favorite main character has to come in at number 7 for me. Number 6. Coming in at number 6 on the list is Morrigan from the Darkstalker / Vampire Savior series. And let's get this one out of the way real quick. Yeah, she's kinda hot, but funnily enough, her being attractive actually made a funny story on why she's on this list in the first place. When I first saw Morrigan, it was through fan art and a bunch of YouTubers mentioning her, and I thought, damn, she kinda bad. Then later, when I picked up fighting games as a kid, I saw her in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and went, hey, wait, I know who that is, and naturally wanted to try her out. She ended up being on my main team in that game, along with Zero and Virgil, both honorable mentions, and yes, I know I'm a terrible person for those 3 characters in that game, but I actually fell in love with her real personality instead of, you know, her other 2 personalities. But then later, when I picked up her home game, Vampire Savior / the Darkstalkers series, she was my main in those games too, and then later again in the Darkstalkers anime, she was also my favorite, and it kind of became weird that this character I initially saw and went, yeah, she's hot, became a character that I played in so many games and ended up really liking, honestly. It's funny that I put her here because of that story, but it ended up making her one of the fondest characters to me, and in the end, she comes in at number 6. Number 5. Finally cracking the top 5, we have Artorias the Abysswalker from Dark Souls 1. If you've seen my last video, it's no surprise that a Souls character is somewhere on this list, And while Souls MCs don't really have that much to offer, being those like blank avatar created characters I mentioned, Artorias is just kind of that guy. He has the aura, if you will. Throughout the OG Dark Souls, you hear of these 4 legendary Knights of Gwyn, and your curiosity naturally increases. You fight one of these legendary knights named Ornstein, and to anyone who's played the original Dark Souls, let's just say he leaves a lasting impression, to say the least. Then you hear of this one so-called the Wolf Knight who fought back the Abyss and tried to be the hero the world needed. You eventually travel back in time and find him just before he's taken over by the Abyss and consumed into darkness, leading to one of my favorite boss fights in any video game ever. This guy is out of his prime, possessed, and using his sword in his offhand, and still being one of the most oppressive bosses in the entire series. Overall, Artorias had build-up and payoff to make him one of my favorite characters in the entire world, and he has a cute little wolf as a pet. I mean, like, what more could you really ask for? Number 4. Coming in at number 4 on the list is Seth from the Under Night series. This is one I'm sure is a bit of a shocking pick, since I'm like almost certain not a single person watching this video even knows who Seth is, but let me try to explain why he's here real quick. Since I was a kid, the edgelord archetype were always my favorite, as I mentioned when talking about Shadow, and also since I was a kid, fighting games were right next to Souls games as my favorite games to play in the whole world. So naturally, when I saw a fighting game guy that was a mega edgelord wearing all black with blue knives, I kind of fell in love immediately. Seth has been a character that I've always just had a weird connection to for kind of as long as I can remember, and it also helps that his gameplay in the game he was from, Under Night, being some of the most fun I've had in fighting games in almost forever. While his story is a bit, cool but confusing to say the least. TLDR, he's an assassin committed to saving a princess, and he's taking out crazy powerful people just because he wants her safe. Overall, I just really like Seth's design, and his gameplay was so fun, and it ended up being some of the craziest combos, man. Like, you should look that up. But overall, that gets Seth a spot at number 4 on the list. Number 3. Coming in at number 3 on the list, we have A2 and 9S from Nier Automata. So yeah, I'm kinda cheating on my own rules with this one, but even thematically, it just kinda makes sense. I'm gonna try not to spoil Nier too much in this, so it might sound very vague if you haven't played it, but I'll see what I can do. On one hand, there's 9S, and I love this character because I can really see myself in him. Pause. But by that, I mean, if I was going through what this guy was going through, I can see myself making almost the exact same choices he made all the way until the end of the game, really. That being said, when I was given a choice, I chose to go down the path of baby girl A2 first. And that's because even though I can see myself in 9S's shoes, A2 still seemed like the quote-unquote correct choice, so to say. And that's kind of why I love these two characters and this game in the first place. This is by leaps and bounds the best example of two outlooks and ideologies both being valid points, yet still leading to conflict. And I think it's poetic that specifically these two characters find themselves sharing the number 3 spot together. They are, in my opinion, the best written characters in any game I've ever played, and I've played a lot of games, and I have so much love for both of them. And as I said in the honorable mentions, I do fuck with 2B as well, but after Route C, she just kind of gets overshadowed by these two. I mean, if you know, you know, but I absolutely adore these two. Super well written, super likable, and together they earn a spot at number 3. Number 2. Coming in at number 2, we have Ronnie the Witch from my favorite game of all time, Elden Ring. In the top 2, we kind of get to these characters that, well, yes, I love them. They get a lot of bonus points for just kind of what they represent to me as well. And a great example to explain that is Ronnie from Elden Ring. Slight spoilers for Ronnie's questline in Elden Ring, but to me, Ronnie really embodies why I love Elden Ring so much. You first meet Ronnie after teleporting back to one of the starting bonfires at nighttime. She gives you a really cool item and says, "Hey man, you'll probably never see me again." Naturally, after hearing this, I knew there was no way I was stopping my session until I found her, and I mean, I planned to explore every inch of the world anyway, so I was sure I'd come across her again eventually. After finding her tucked away in this small corner of the world, it started my favorite questline in any game I've ever played. TLDR, she sends you to kill a boss, which makes meteors rain down from the sky, which opens an area you've probably seen in the distance but couldn't really get to. That area also happening to be one of my, if not my favorite area in any Souls games. Then you find an item, kill a guy that's gooning for her, find her as a doll, find her real body, marry her, get my favorite weapon in Souls history, the Moonlight Greatsword, and unlock an entire new ending. For reference, yes, all of this is found from finding an NPC tucked away in a little small corner, just kind of chilling in a tower, taking a breather. And well, yes, I love Ronnie's design, her story, her voice lines. It's her quest line that just embodies how much is tucked away in Elden Ring if you're just willing to spend the time to look, and that embodiment makes me love her so much more, and it will make her forever one of my favorite characters in any game I've ever played. Oh, and also she's blue, which is my favorite color, which kind of gives her more bonus points than it should, but you know. Anyway, love Ronnie. Let's get into the number 1 spot. Number 1. And finally, taking home the top spot on the list is Marth from the Fire Emblem series. Fire Emblem is one of the main reasons why there's a 1 character per franchise rule in the first place. And well, sure, Dimitri has 10 times more of an in-depth story, and well, yeah, Robin might have more Riz, and well, yeah, Camilla is really hot. Marth embodies my 2 favorite character tropes ever, and it's kind of where my love for those type of characters sparked in the first place. Like most people, I found Marth from Smash Brothers, specifically Brawl at the time. And well, Smash Melee did end up being my favorite fighting game, in which I did eventually main Marth. I don't really want to talk about his gameplay here, even his gameplay in his home game, Fire Emblem. Marth, as I mentioned, embodies my 2 favorite character tropes, those being mindlessly heroic to the point of it being dumb heroes, and anime boys with swords. The first trope there being the important one. I'm not really sure if I'm alone on this, but I kind of just mess with happy endings, honestly, and being a person that helps out even when someone doesn't necessarily ask for it. And well, yeah, there are many characters that are good guys through and through. Marth will always be the embodiment of that to me. He's doing what's right and helping people out, and nothing's gonna change his mind. He's gonna save the day whether you like it or not, and well, it's super sappy. I just kind of vibe with that. Marth to me is a symbol that I have a hero complex. I mean that you should be good and help people that need it, and even help people that don't need it. Just be a nice guy through and through. And well, I've loved playing Marth in Fire Emblem and Smash. It's what he stands for in my brain that truly makes him my favorite video game character of all time. Oh yeah, and he also has like a blue thematic as well. And I named my first ever beta fish after him, but that's probably besides the point. Love Marth, and he comes in at number 1. And that's the list. First off, I want to thank everyone for the support I've gotten. Before I posted my last video, I started at 30 subscribers, and now we're on our way to 1,000. Holy. So please, if you haven't yet, lick that subscribe button and enjoy some free content while you're at it. Thank you all so much for watching. I've got so much more planned. Please make sure to comment your top 10 favorite characters in the comment section below, and comment anything else you want to see me make a video on, honestly. That's about it. Have fun, try to stay safe, and as always, have a good night.